Hello everyone, welcome to a mini tutorial how-to series plus the announcement for the winner of the first challenge that we had in Front-End Tips channel. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the prototype that was submitted by uh, Majd Foucault. Please excuse me if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. Uh, did a pretty good job. We had a bunch of tutorials being sent, and this is the winner. And just as a sort of a notion of an appreciation, what we have done is if you're listening to this tutorial matched, we already added the Chrome badge for you. This basically is some sort of an honorary tag that you get or a badge that you get. And also, furthermore, we are actually working on some new features that are for paid users in Kodhus online editor. But the good thing is that you don't need to anymore pay for them. So we are actually working on a bunch of them. We will announce them next month. So I hope you enjoy this badge. And we really appreciated that you took the time and did this prototype and this challenge. So just to talk a little bit about what the challenge was, we asked to create some sort of a mobile device carousel markup, as you can see over here. So basically, there are a bunch of cards, and supposedly you will be able to sort of drag and touch to sort of go through the remaining sort of cards on the right, and you can go back and forth and basically show them in the view. Some of the things that I liked are the fact that the SAS is being used, or one version of it, which is SCSS. I like the fact that you have used device width here as a variable and you used it down here. Pretty good job on that. And also, I like the fact that you have used these standard of BEM, or what they call block. As you can see here, it's called block element modifier, as you can see over here. So basically, it's some sort of a notion where you can sort of define the hierarchy of your elements based on some sort of a formatting using dash dash and underline underline. So for those of you who do not know what it is, just search for BEM CSS on Google and you will be seeing this page. And I can see that Majd has used these, which is pretty cool. One of the cool things about this is that, for example, here where we have cards, and then within the cards in SCSS, he has used these underline with ampersand over here, and then it kind of corresponds to this. So I could say Majd is actually a professional person in CSS development, so I'm very proud of the code that I saw. The other thing that I saw was the usage of REM or REM for the measurements instead of pixel. This is very relevant when you're designing for different device sizes. For example, you want to be mobile friendly or tablet friendly. So all in all, pretty good job. The only thing I can say, which you probably did or did not know, is the fact that you don't need to define the links over here. You could potentially add it over here the same way as well. Uh, but apart from that, very good job. Congratulations. Now I want to little bit talk about the online editor that we have here and how to utilize this. Um, let's go ahead and create a new prototype. So here I go to front end and CodeNest Kodhus online editor. By default, you don't need to be logged in. So let me just log out here. So you can see that you have join us, login, and a bunch of other things. For example, explore and tutorials. You can go ahead and click on them to see what they lead to. But if you're really interested in joining the challenges and use this tool to its maximum extent, please go ahead and join us. You don't need, there are some, there are paid versions as well. You don't really need them initially, so go ahead for free, click join us, either join through, using Facebook or Google or GitHub, or fill in this form and sign up. And then later on, you can definitely basically sign in. So let me go ahead and sign in here. So if I press log in, I still can use all of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in, Kodhus at Kodhus.com, and I'm going to type my password and log in. So you get this sort of place where you can go to your profile, log out, you have notifications that get sent, whether if somebody has, for example, liked your prototype, or we sent some sort of a global message, you can see it over here. But in general, today I want to talk a little bit about the editor itself. So you can see that we have two different types of layouts. So this one basically has like the tabbed layout where you can switch between HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or up here you can switch it to this where you see all of them together. So many times you want to have two. In some of our tutorials, I want to show you at the same time the HTML and CSS so that we can cross-reference when we're doing. So this is a great view for that. Otherwise, I tend to use this one because I have this great view down here. So you know that you can then switch on and off. And here, if you go to this layout, you can switch a specific panel. For example, CSS, I removed it so that I have a better space over here. The other thing I want to talk about today is the fact that all of these panels have this gear icon up here. So if you click on them, you can see that you get to have define some preprocessors if you want. So for example, if you want to use POG or HAML, you can use them by basically selecting them and saving. The same we have for CSS. You can see that you can use some normalize reset base, which pretty much resets the margins and paddings and all that by default. And then you can also have auto prefixer enabled. So there are some styles that are different based on different browser that you use. And you can write the default and then choose this and save, and the editor automatically adds the remaining sort of browser specific styles so that your prototype can be viewed the same way in all the browsers. We also have some preprocessors, SCSS, LESS, SAS, and Stylus. If you are familiar with them, you can definitely choose them from here. I like the way Majd did it for his case. For example, in the CSS, you can see that he has chosen SCSS, and obviously he wrote the CSS in the SCSS format. Um, so that's about it. You can also include some predefined libraries. So for example, if you want to use Bootstrap tree, you can select it from here. It automatically adds the link over here. Or if you want to add more libraries, you just click on this and paste the style sheet. So for example, one of the things we could do potentially here is take this instead of putting this here. If I remove this, for example, from here, you can see that the font might change here. The font is now different, and you can just click on the gear icon here, add a new library. So since we don't have any library, we can just paste it over here and save, and you'll see that the styles will get applied. And the same thing goes for JavaScript. So we have some preprocessors like TypeScript and Babel. And also we have some predefined libraries like jQuery 3.2, D3, Bootstrap, some of the well-known libraries that you can use. And also you can copy and paste the link to the actual JavaScript file of a library down here so that it gets included in your prototype. So that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. The other thing that I can see a lot of people miss is that here the HTML, it's actually the body tag of your HTML. So you don't need to add, for example, the HTML tag like this, and then go here and define your head. And then here, for example, let's just add head, and then here add body. So since this is a prototype tool, it's not really built for production ready code. I basically use it when I want to quickly showcase a page or an interface to somebody or the companies who I want to showcase something really quickly. I use this tool. But just to let you know, you don't need to add this. basically whatever you include in your body tag, that's what you want to put over here, right? Because the library itself adds the HTML and the head and all of those tags. So basically, just to let you know, you only need to add whatever you want to add in your body. So that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. The other thing that is very useful is specifically when you sign in the settings section, you can enable the autocomplete. So for example, if I define, like, let's add something into this H1. This is just a tutorial. So you're going to see it here. So if I want to style this, so for example, let's give background color red, as you can see here. If you go ahead in the settings and enable the CSS autocomplete, if I close this now, if I start typing back, it automatically gives me the suggestions that I can choose from, right? Background red, just like that. So that's a pretty useful thing to do as well. You can also define keymaps. So we support Sublime, Vim, and Emacs. For example, let's say you have a lot of, you know, classes. Let's just add a card and add it 10 times. So let's say you don't want to have the card as the class name for all of these. One thing you can do, you can go here and choose the key map to be Sublime. And then in Windows, I think it's Control D, but in Mac is Command D. So I can go ahead and select one of these and start just clicking Command D. And you can see that it basically auto selects and you can change it in one go. So for example, card container. So this is another feature. You can choose key map. You can also increase the font size like this. So here I can just increase the font size, as you can see over here. And the other thing is that you can just define the specific prototype as a template, right? And what it really does is that when you select it as a template, you can later on load that template. It's going to show up here, and then you can use that as a base template for whatever prototype that you want to make. So this is another cool thing over here. And then obviously there's a gear icon. When you click on this, it actually leads to more sort of options that are not obviously necessary initially, but you can choose a font family, you can choose different layouts, for example. You can choose a light layout. So if I save this, for example, go back, now my layout will be white, as you can see over here. The other cool thing that we added today is the fact that when you are in this layout, which is called vertical layout, this one, when you move your mouse, you can see now something down here shows the window width that you need. So it's pretty useful when you're developing responsive pages. So for example, here is, let's see, here is a mobile, usually 780 or something is where the mobile ends, and here, for example, this is the tablet view, and a little bit more will be the desktop view. So you can basically sort of tune the window width and start coding your media queries, which will be pretty useful. And apart from that, if you, for example, go to your profile, you'll see a bunch of links over here. There is no prototype right now since I created this account recently, but you can be whatever prototype you create end up here. Whatever prototypes that you liked will end up here. So going back to the main editor, the other cool thing is this explore. So if you click on this explore, you can see some prototypes that either created by us or other people. You can see the inspirations that you can use. You can go ahead and click and see how they have been done. You can see the ones that are pretty hot, meaning that they had a lot of viewers. In this case, for example, 5,000 people viewed this. And the Google inbox that I created, I think a year or 2 years ago, which is a pretty cool effect. So you can go ahead and check out the HTML and CSS that I used to create this. So that is pretty cool as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this how-to mini tutorial. Thanks again from Majd. Really appreciate what you've done, and we hope that you like the badge icon. The next challenge will come next week, so stay tuned. And hopefully, we're going to have a lot of submissions, and we will choose a finalist, and we will give the badge. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do. If you have any questions, any comments, go ahead and put it in the comment section. And I wish you a great day and night. See you next time. Goodbye.